Hello, my name is Johnny. In this video tutorial, I'm going to go through with you Adobe Animate and lesson number 2. Let's create a new project. You go to File, select New, and select Full HD. Let's double click Full HD. Okay, if I hold the Control key down, I use my wheel on my mouse, I can zoom in and zoom out, or I can actually use the Control minus or Control plus to zoom in and zoom out. For this tutorial, let's go to Window, let's go to Workspace, and I'm just going to select Essentials. Okay. If you accidentally delete close accidentally one of your panels, you can always go back to Window, Workspace, Essential, and then let's reset Essential. Yes. So we bring back the panel. Okay. The next thing we need to do is basically put a rectangle. So let's click a rectangle and draw a rectangle into our stage. Let's double click here instead of layer 1, double click there, and we're going to put here head. Now we're going to use the selection tool, and we're going to make sure that we're going to double click both the fill color and the stroke color. If your stroke color doesn't exist, let's delete that. If you do not have a stroke, what you need to do is basically go here to the paint bucket tool, click on the left click on your mouse, hold it down, and then select ink bottle tool. Then click on this side here, the stroke color, select the color of your choice, and then click right on the edge of your shape. This way we just added a stroke. So let's use the selection tool and let's double click our shape where it contains the fill and the stroke color. Here you can change the stroke color to something else if you wish. And you can also increase the size of your stroke. Okay. Let's go to the fill. I'm just going to change the color. Change it to yellow. Will do. The next thing I need to do here is I'm just going to deselect, click anywhere on the white area here or on the gray area to deselect the shape. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to hold. Here we have this line here at the top. If we break it down to 100%, from here to there is about 25%. From here to there is another 25%. And this gives us the 50%. Then from here to here is another 25%. And from here to here, another 25%. So I'm going to go 25% in from left to right. Hold the Control key down and then click and drag. Then I'm going to go another 25% in with the Control key still down. I'm going to click and drag. Then I'm going to start from the right to left now. So I'm going to go 25% from right to left, which is here. I'm going to hold the Control key down. And then I'm going to go another 25% from right to left. Hold the Control key down and bring it down. And now I've got 2 ears for the cat. So you can actually move the ears left, right, make it bigger, make it smaller. So by holding the Control key, we added basically another vector point. The next thing we need to do is make the bottom part of the cat a little bit ovally. So I'm just going to click and drag a little bit like that. Perfect. The next thing we need to do is basically put a body for the cat. So I'm just going to draw here a box. But before I actually put another rectangle here, I need to create another layer. And I'm going to call this body. Because I don't want to mess about with my head layer, I'm just going to lock it just in case. With the body layer selected, I'm just going to click and drag to add a body. Now the problem I've got, the body layer is above the head layer, which basically doesn't look right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the selection tool, and now I'm going to click and drag the body layer below the head layer. Okay. So because I'm not happy with the shape at the moment where it stands a bit to the left, so I'm just going to highlight both. But oops, I cannot highlight them both because one of the layers is already locked. So I need to unlock it first. So I'm going to click on the white area here. I'm going to highlight them all, both, and then I can actually move them. Okay. The next thing I need to do is basically make this body here part a little bit ovally. Let's bring this up a bit. And let's make this a bit ovally. That's it. Okay. Now, as you can see here, that's my vector point. So if I click and drag it, it will snap there. Okay. So make it a bit more ovally. Okay. The next thing I need to do, I'm going to put a tail. So I'm just going to create a new layer. Oops, I've added extra layers there. That's okay. I will need them anyway. So I'm going to double click here on this layer. I'm going to call this layer tail. And here I'm going to call this layer eyes. Now the eyes, obviously I want the eyes to be to the very above the head. Okay. And the tail behind the body. Okay. So with the tail layer selected, what I'm going to do, I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to select the oval tool. Then I'm going to click and drag. Okay, this will do. I'm going to use the selection tool now. I'm going to double click the shape. And we're going to put the tail there. Okay. The next thing I need to do is basically go to, let's increase the height here. I'm going to go to the eyes layer. With the eyes layer selected, I'm going to add, let's put, create a new layer as well. And we're going to call it eyes top. Oops. It didn't like the space, so we're going to call it eyes top. Let's call it T for top. And then here, we're going to call it eyes B for bottom. Okay, so we have the bottom part of the eyes and the top part of the eyes. The top part of the eyes will go above the bottom part of the eyes. Okay, so let's lock the rest of the layers, so we're not going to mess them up. So let's start with the bottom part of the eye first. I'm going to use the oval tool. I'm going to click and drag to draw an eye. I'm going to use the selection tool. I'm going to double click that. Now I don't want the stroke, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click this little line here to remove the stroke. And for the color, I'm going to change the color to black. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is I'm going to go to hold the Alt key down, and then click and drag here to replicate my symbol. Okay, my shape. Now, before I do that, actually, let's delete that. Let's work on the eye, on one of the eye, finish it off, and then we can actually replicate it. Okay, I need to put an eyeball there. So let's put here, let's change that. Eyes B1. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this IB2. You can call it whatever you like. Excuse me. So with the eyes B2 now, so on my eyes B1, I've got this black circle. On the eyes B2, I'm going to put another circle, a bit smaller, and I'm going to change the color to white. Okay. Let's put this there. You can use the arrow keys on the keyboard to put it in perfect place. Okay. So let's put another one. I'm just going to have another layer, eyes B3. I'm going to put a smaller circle, black circle as well. Yeah. Now, let's Control Z to undo. Let's change the color to black again. Okay. Let's use the free transform tool. Let's zoom in a bit so we have more control. Okay. Now the eyes of a cat, they are like that, a little squashed. Okay. Okay. That's better. If I hold the control key down. Okay. So I've got one of the eyes. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to click and drag to highlight these three keyframes. Now, do not click and drag when the keyframes are selected. You need to click away to a different keyframe first and then click and drag. If you have something already selected, keyframe selected, and then you click and drag, you're just moving the keyframe. So we don't want to do that. So click away to a different keyframe, to a different frame here, and then click and drag once to highlight eyes B1, B2, and B3. Now you have highlighted all three. I'm going to hold the control key, the Alt key down on my keyboard, and then click and drag to replicate the eyes. Okay, so now I've got the perfect eyes. So I know that this eye and this eye are exactly the same. The next thing I need to do is I'm just going to lock these three layers, and I'm just going to create the eye top. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to select the oval tool, and for color this time, I'm just going to select this radial color. I'm going to click and drag now to cover the eye. Okay, the next thing I need to do is go to frame number 15, press the F6 key on the keyboard, or you can right click and select Insert Keyframe. F6 is the keyboard, is the shortcut. So when I go here, the rest of the card is disappeared because I don't have any frames here. So I'm going to highlight all these frames below it. I press the F5 key on the keyboard because I don't want keyframes, I just want frames. So now what I need to do, once I reach to this keyframe, what I need to do is deselect, and now I'm going to hover over with my mouse cursor with the selection tool selected, and I'm just going to click and drag upwards a bit. That's it. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So the next thing I need to do is go back here to the first keyframe of the eyes T. I'm going to hold the Alt key down and then click and drag to cover the other eye. Then I'm going to go to the keyframe number 15. I'm going to hold the Alt key again, click and drag to the second eye. So now what I've got a card that basically the eyes are flickering. So what I need to do, I want to have a smooth transition between opening and closing eyes. In order to do this, anywhere in between these two keyframes, I'm going to right click and select Create Shape Tween. And now when I actually click and drag, I will be able to actually see that the eye is moving. Now, this eye moves a bit to the right as well. So if I go here on the first keyframe, click away, then click this one. I can use the right arrow on my keyboard just to move it a little bit. So let's see if it's going to be still moving a bit to the right. Let's try again a little bit more. Go a bit more right. Oops. Not both of them. I just want that one. Let's try now. Yeah, that's better. Still moves a little bit, but that's okay. Now, what I need to do, I need to basically right click and copy this keyframe. Go another 15 frames down on frame number 30, right click and select paste frames. Now I'm going to highlight the frames below it. Press the F5 or right click and insert frame. Oh no, let's highlight them and press F5. I don't have to do it one by one. Okay. So now I'm going to right click and select insert create shape tween. So now the cut opening and then close the eyes. Okay. Now if I loop this, if I click on the loop let's increase the loop there to cover the full animation and press play. Okay, so the cat will basically open and close the eyes. So if I want to slow down the process, what I can do, I can actually click here anywhere in between the two keyframes. It doesn't matter how many frames you're going to highlight. And if I press F5 a couple times, and then do the same here, F5 a couple times, I've got frame number 30. Let's go some extra frames there. Let's go to 35 and then 65. So let's remove frames there. Remove frames. Let's remove a couple more frames here. So go to 65. So 35. So no, sorry, we need to go to 70. My bad. Okay, so we're basically doubling that. So now we have a slower process of opening and closing the eyes. Oops, I need to increase the loop here. That's better. Let's try again. So now the eyes closing and opening a lot slower. So what's that mean? The less frames you have, the quicker the animation will play. The more frames you have, the slower the animation will become. Okay, so now we've done that. Let's pause that. What we're going to do, let's unlock the rest of the layers now. Let's wag the tail a little bit. So this is our tail here. So I can actually put here a keyframe by pressing F6 or right click and select insert keyframe. And now I'm going to basically move the tail there. Now if I right click and select Shape Tween, okay, I can see the tail moving there. Okay, so now I can go back to F6 here, somewhere there, F6, and move the tail. Oops. Oops. If you make a mistake, Control Z to undo. Deselect it. Okay. Now I'm going to right click, select Create Shape Tween. Okay. So there, I've got some discrepancy there. So what I can do, I can actually click here, press F6, and just fix that a little bit. Now, if you have too many vector points, can you see here, I'm creating too many vector points here. What you can do, if you hold the selection tool down and click on the sub selection tool, you can see the vector points. Let's delete them. Oops. Control Z to undo. If you have too many vector points, just select them and delete them. Oops. If you delete too much or the whole shape, okay, that's better. Put that there. So I've got a vector point there. Let's Control Z, Control plus to zoom in. Use the space bar to move things around. Here's a vector point. Well, I need to make sure that's better. Okay. Let's Control minus to zoom out. Let's have a look what we've done there. Okay, that will do. You can faff about a little bit more if you like. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I want to keep looping this. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go to this keyframe, right click, select copy, go further down, select paste. Then I'm going to go to the next one, right click, copy keyframe, go further down, paste. Then I'm going to go back to the first one, right click, copy frames. And you can basically go back and forth to do the same thing. Let's put here Shape Tween. So now tail will keep moving up and down. Okay. Now what we need to do now is basically follow the same process. So we'll go here. Oops. Yeah. We'll go there. And then we'll go here. Sorry. Copy keyframe. Until you basically cover, excuse me, the full timeline, the whole timeline. Paste. Let's go back. I have skipped a keyframe. That's okay. Okay, you don't want to make it too perfect. You want to make it nice and natural. Okay, so if we basically press play now. Okay. So the cat's tail is done now. The eye is done. Let's do the mouth now. Let's put a new layer. Let's call it mouth. Bring the mouth layer to the top. So we have it above the head. Let's put a line there. And happened there. Okay, as you can see, because my timeline was there, the line went there, so there the line disappears. So if I click the keyframe and then click and drag again all the way to the frame number 1, okay, so that this will do. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just click somewhere on frame number 10, press F6, and let's use the selection tool. Oops. Make sure you select the selection tool, not the sub selection tool. Let's click on the white area to select everything. Now let's click and drag, make the cat happy. Then insert class Shape Tween. Okay, so now we can actually copy this keyframe. Go to frame number 20. Paste this keyframe. Right click, create Shape Tween. So smiles and become serious. Smiles become serious. Okay, so what we can do here, instead of actually keep smiling, become serious, we can actually make him like chewing something, chewing a food. So I'll go back here and I'm just going to put another line above it. And I'm going to use the selection tool. Move this little bit like that. Let's marry this. Okay. And I'm going to go here. Put another line here. Going to go there. Put another line. Let's give it a little curve there. Go move the curve a little bit to the side as well. So now we can mess about a little bit just to keep playing around with the keyframes that we just created. So I'm going to right click here, copy keyframe, paste keyframes. Let's copy that one now. So you alternated the keyframes. So paste keyframe. Let's copy that one. Paste keyframe. Let's copy that one. Paste keyframe. And what we have achieved is this. Okay. Now, by doing this, you can actually make the cat chew food and stuff. You can put legs as well, and you can put all the things. Now, let's close this. Let's stop this. Okay. So basically, this is the simple way to animate your shapes by using Adobe Animate. In the next video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to basically apply sound so the cat can actually talk. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.